we're finally talking about our equipment setup. Yeah. We've changed a lot of equipment recently. We're going to run you down roughly what we're doing. This is Dean. I'm Rob. We're Raw Monster with Raw Blood Tribute Band. I can't get ready, and it's such a tight space in here because, you know...
Because you've got such a massive drum kit.
Excessive amounts of drums. I've been wanting a Gretsch kit for, I don't know, at least a decade, because I went to music college and I started picking up on the fact that loads of drummers that I like Taylor Hawkins, Phil Collins, the fact that they all play Gretsch kits, and the sounds has been pretty consistent with these drums through the years. So this is a broadcaster kit, and it's still built in the same way as what they used to back in day. So really nice thin shells. I think they project really nicely, and they've got quite a quick decay, but they just sound huge.
And of course, it looks rather nice.
Oh yeah, it's the Creme Brulee kit is what we've christened it as, which I really like actually. A friend gave it that name. So I was using a Mapex Saturn 4 before this, which I had for about 10 years.
Lovely kit.
Yeah, really great kit.
Oh no, don't make him cry.
I sold it recently, and that was a really tough day actually, because everything that I'd done with it in the previous 10 years flooded through my head. But anyway, we were really lucky that we had an ex-tech of Stuart Copeland when we played at Shepherd's Bush Empire. Sorry, that is a massive flex, but it's true. And I wanted to ask him about the drum sounds, and one of the other, the monitor engineer said, "Oh, don't do that. He's not happy with most drum sounds." And he came around and was like, "Yeah, sounds good." And that was with the old kit. But this one, it's just different. It's a bigger bass drum. It's 24 inches. Compared with the old kit, it was 22, but this one is shallow.
It's a monster.
Yeah, it's a monster, but it's a shallow monster. It's a 14
It's
inch
weird,
deep.
when you pick it up, it genuinely feels quite small.
Yeah, it's not that
It's
heavy.
weird.
Yeah, but the old kit was 20 inches deep, so it was just too much. So this is a full range snare drum. It's called a Swamp Dog.
Swamp Dog.
Yeah, and it's 14 inch by 8 deep, so it's an absolute beast of a snare drum. I think it's mahogany. I really like the sound of it, and I might replace it because Ben started using metal snare drums now for the main snare.
Yeah,
so
he's talking about this.
I'm not sure. I might go bell brass, or I might go, as of last night, I might go, I think it's black hammered steel, because I noticed that Ben was using that on the most recent gig, and I thought actually it sounds great. It's about half the price of bell brass as well.
Oh, that's it then.
So I might do that. The side snare, that changed recently as well. So
that is so heavy.
Yeah, so literally it weighs a ton.
It sounds great.
It's tiny. Yeah, it's got a really high snap. There's more contrast between the two snare drums now, because I used to use this and a 13x6 hammered chrome over brass.
Which was good, but
it wasn't contrasting
the
enough.
contrast was never big enough for me to go, oh wow, but now, since you've started using that, I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
That sounds cool.
I've cranked both snare drum heads.
Yeah.
So talking about tunings actually, I am one drum short at the moment, so I need to buy a second floor tom. That's going to be great when that turns up. I'm not using the same sizes that Ben currently uses, and I'm fine with that because it sounds great. And frankly, this is kind of the drum sound that I've always wanted personally anyways. So 24 kick by 14, 13 by 9 rack tom, 16 by 16 floor, and I'm gonna buy an 18 by 16 floor as well.
Which is cool.
Yeah, they're big. And the tunings are, gosh, I think I can remember his. They were like, I think it was like a D sharp for his rack tom, which is a 12 inch now. And then it was the G sharp and a C sharp, I think.
The camera's getting bored.
Cymbals, all Zildjian. I've always been a Zildjian boy my whole life. So let's go through them.
The mice get to this one.
Yeah, so we've got Special Dry EFX Crash. Ben uses that. That's a 19. Ben does not use this, but it's very similar. I've had this one since. Actually, I bought this when we started doing the tribute. So this was the right crash at the time.
2015.
And it's always been the right crash since, actually, so that's cool. Yeah, this is new, so I've gigged this once so far. This is my favourite piece of metal that I've owned in my life.
This is lovely.
It's called an Organic Ride. It's 21 inches, but it's got a nice ping to it.
It's the nicest
and it's
ride.
The bell. Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. Yeah, so I love that.
We cracked this one today.
Yeah, literally cracked it today. Just there, unfortunately, but it's quite a trashy sounding crash anyway, so this is an Oriental Crash of Doom, which is an awesome name and it's quite complicated to get right. 20 inch, as Ben put it in the Drumeo video, 22 is just a bit too doomy, so I agree. 20 inches do me enough. And then this is not one that Ben uses, but it's now pretty similar because I've got 1, 2, there's a third crack there.
There's 4 cracks in it.
Yeah, there's like 4 cracks in it, yeah. But that means that this is an A custom EFX 20, and it behaves more like this symbol now. So they decay about evenly now, which is quite nice. Hi-hats, also new. Only gigs those once so far. I don't know what I think about them yet, but they work in the mix. So they're really dry sounding. They're called custom special dry hi-hats. Extra bonus bits. There's a tambourine. It's LP Cyclops, I think. I did used to use a cowbell, haven't used it recently. And then there's this. I'm currently using an SPD-SX. I have just bought the Pro version, which has got more computing power. It's also got more outputs, and it's not ready yet. And here I am many months later. I've got the new sample pad up and running now. I've gigged it a few times, so I'll chop in some bits later on in the video about using the new pad, but it's still ultimately derived from the way that I used the original SPD-SX, so I'll elaborate on that first. This sample pad is essentially the 3rd and the 4th and the 5th and the 6th and the however many band members, essentially. We don't run anything on a click. Royal Blood don't, so we don't. There's a few patches that I play that go on for quite a long time now. So like patches like this, they can go on for, I don't know, half a minute to 45 seconds. So it's the equivalent to playing to a click by that point, but then there's some sort of one-shot sounds that we use. So like Boilermaker, there's like a reverse swoop sound. We've also got Limbo, where there are some sort of electronic drum sounds. The reason for having them at different places of the kit as well, I find Ben's method really interesting because it's like he uses each trigger as an additional instrument that changes per song.
Got 3 triggers there in the shot.
Yeah, so we've got 4 bar triggers at the moment. This is about to change as well.
One on the snare.
Yeah, 1 on the snare, 1 on the bass drum, 2 on the floor tom. I would have 1 on each floor tom if I had the other floor tom.
Got your foot one.
And then there's a foot switch down there.
And then you're hitting the pad itself, right?
Yeah, so for some of the things that we do currently, say Boilermaker's probably the busiest.
He's an octopus.
Well, I try to be an octopus and I struggle. So we have got nothing. Okay, cool. I could have more sounds in that case. So that's verse 1 backing vocal. Verse 2 backing vocal 1. The other backing vocal in verse 2. That's after chorus 1. That's the entirety of the bridge backing sounds, which took so long to do. I've had to figure out, because of the limitations of this bit of kit, I've had to figure out, okay, what sounds do I need to combine onto certain patches? So, for example, that one isn't just the kind of synthesizer type sounds, it's also got the backing vocal that comes in partway through. This one, I haven't got time to hit the reverse swoop, so I've had to put the reverse swoop on here at the beginning of the next backing vocal. But with the new sample pads, I will be able to split those up more. So the new sample pad, I could hit this, and only that, and it will cycle through a lot of different sounds. And on that note, cutting back to the new sample pads, Shiner in the Dark. Oh my god, it's blissfully easy now actually playing this song because I've been able to put all of the sounds onto that one trigger. So this is how it goes now. Just get to let that sound play out, and then I can just hit the same trigger for the whole song. It's so much easier. I can see the entire breakdown of the different sounds on the pad itself as well. So I can just keep hitting that same trigger, and then you can see it's highlighting different sounds on chorus, backing vocal 1, and then I can quickly cycle through other ones. So it's literally the whole song just by playing one trigger. It makes life so much easier, where I think on Shiner, on the old sample pad, I was having to, well, I was using every single available space on the sample pad, so all 9 of these, plus the different triggers around the kit. Hence the octopus problems. And the other things worth talking about with this new sample pad now is that we do actually play to a click in some places, because the new sample pad has a function that enables us to have a click just with some patches. So, for example, with Boilermaker, I've moved the bridge onto, well, I've got 2 foot pedals now, so it's on the 2nd foot pedal. So it means that we can have a click that helps us lock in a bit tighter with this patch, where I would need to be playing in time anyways. But the click turns itself off automatically once we finish that part of the song. So it still allows us the flexibility to fluctuate with our tempos a little bit, like Royal Blood do when they're playing live, without it feeling robotic through the whole track. It's as close as we can get to the feeling of playing with a third person playing all the keys parts like Darren does with actual Royal Bloods, but it's the best compromise that we can make while we're still gigging as the 2 of us. And now I've got the new sample pad, it has been possible to change the setup of where I place the triggers. So these bar triggers used to be attached to the lugs of the drums, but that would sometimes upset the tuning of the drums. Also, I don't think it was particularly good for the longevity of these triggers, so they now sit on L-rods around the kit, just to prolong their life a little bit more. I've also got 2 foot switches for added capabilities of just being able to trigger more sounds, and the same goes for having bought a few RT30 triggers. So with these ones, I'm able to trigger a few things on different parts of the drum. So with Boilermaker, if I hit the rim, then that now triggers the sounds. If I hit the centre, it doesn't. That's going to be really useful for when we start working on more album 4 songs. Yeah, it's the work never stops with this. The new sample pad is great. I've already found a lot more uses for it, but I've by no means reached the limits of this sample pad. So yeah, man, the hard work never stops with this, and the nerdism is always there.
See, this is what we've become. Nerds.
Oh yeah, you have to be though, right? It just wouldn't happen otherwise.
Yeah. So you talked about Mike-isms.
Yeah, okay.
What's your Ben-isms?
I just remember the first Royal Blood song that I picked up on was Little Monster, when it was a single before the album came out, and that drum break was like, oh, this is awesome. So good. Otherwise, actually, that's a big Ben thing. Drum solos. I never did drum solos before this, but he will get up from the kit. He'll go out to the front of the stage. Oh, it's so much fun. So Ben loves a sort of right-left kick pattern. So that
Where are you now? Yeah.
Yeah, well, sure. Oh, well, that's the other way around.
I know,
left, right kick, but yeah. So he loves a good triplet with the kick at the end of the grouping. That pops up in his solos basically all the time. He did have a part, he did have a bit of a reggaeton vibe. That was part of his solos for a little while.
So there we go.
So there's the drums.
There's the drums.
And the electronics and backing sounds and that.